years within the SAFA region. Another important fact would be the arrangement between the SAFA regional bodies, such as the SAFA committee. The SAFA committee at present is undergoing some memorandum of understanding with certain entities. An example I would like to cite is the SAFA and EFAA MOU. What is EFAA? EFAA is the European Federation of Accountants for Small and Medium Entities. The region of SAFA is dominated by SMEs, or small and medium entities. Small and medium entities play a huge part. So the SAFA has identified this and have come up with a MOU with the EFAA so that the reporting initiatives that's related to the small and medium entities are identified properly. That's another initiative that has been there. When we come to the potential of another economy, Afghanistan. Afghanistan has also been altered by terrorism. At present also it's altered by terrorism. So what Afghanistan government should do is to identify and come to solution with the terrorist group so that the problem of terrorism gets solved and in future a proper economic growth is achieved, as they have been having so much of natural resources within them. Tony Blair, one of the famous UK Prime Minister, once upon a time said that each country has its right to grow, but until it gets a proper political leadership, who would be identifying the natural resources and the labor resources within a country and developing it. So each country in the SAFA region has potential to grow, but big question is political leadership. When we get proper political leadership, growth in SAFA countries are not impossible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we have 2 more contestants left for elocution contest. I would like to request our judges to pick another name.
Mr. Sami Mamoon Akash.
Mr. Sami Mamoon Akash, who is representing the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh, ICAB, and his topic will be.
I am Sami Mamoon Akash from Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh. Today, my topic is very interesting. It's IS 17 emphasizing on off-balance sheet items and what recent changes in this accounting. So, why this topic is important? I'm not going to say many theoretical words to describe why this topic is important. So, I'm just going to say a few statistical data. IASD conducted research on lease economy, and they have concluded this result that over $3.3 billion of off-balance sheet lease liability exists among listed companies. So the thing is that it's a very important perspective to develop. Now, in my topic, I need to first discuss about lease. Then, afterwards, I'm going to discuss about off-balance sheet liabilities, impact of IFRS 16, why IFRS 16 is coming, and implementation related problems. So, what is this? As per IS 17, a lease is an agreement between lessor and lessee to convey the right to use an asset for an agreed period of time, return for a series of payment. So, ladies and gentlemen, just emphasis on the topic, right to use. Then we all know that there are 2 kinds of lease, finance lease and operating lease. What is finance lease? For the substantial transfer of risks and reward incidental to ownership. So what is operating lease? It's very easy. Those that are not finance lease are operating lease. And off-balance sheet liability is mainly created through this operating lease. What is off-balance sheet liability? Off-balance sheet liabilities are not shown in the balance sheet, but it's effectively liability of the company. I can give you a couple of cases regarding this off-balance sheet liabilities problem. US Airways, in 2002, they filed for bankruptcy petition. Why? They had in their annual statements $3.19 billion of long-term debt, whereas in their financial statements they show $3.19 billion debt. They had $7 3.39 billion long-term debt of balance sheet liability regarding lease commitment. Another instance, UAL Corporation, parent company of United Airlines. They also filed for bankruptcy petition. They showed in their financial statement $25.2 billion asset and only $22.2 billion liability. So what's the problem? Why they are filing for bankruptcy petition? They have enough asset. The problem is they had $24.5 billion non-cancelable operating lease commitment. Do you think that all the problems are related to airlines company? No, not at all. CVS drugstore. It showed that they had $1.1 billion lease liability. But their off-balance sheet liability regarding lease was $10.8 billion. So all those things, all those events lead to a new revised standards. A strict disclosure policy and a risk classification policy was established, and it is effective from 1st January 2005. We now have a strict disclosure policy regarding off-balance sheet liability, this liability. So do you think the problem is solved? No, ladies and gentlemen, the problem is not yet solved. So to understand why there is still problem, we need to understand the problem, the accounting treatment of operating lease nowadays. What we're showing nowadays, leasing don't show that lease asset or liabilities in its financial statements. So why they show it? Yeah, there is a disclosure requirement. It shows it in the off-balance sheet liability. Okay, they give it a disclosure. But is it solve the problem? No. Why not? Because normally the user go through the balance sheets, account statements, all those things. Normally general users. I'm talking about general users. But they don't go through the notes rigorously. And if they do, they can't understand, most of them can't understand the financial impact or the financial figures impact, ratios impact of those off-balance sheet liability. To countermeasure it, it took long time. It took around 10 years. But finally, ISD issued standards, IFRS 16, which will be effective from 1st January 2019. So, how this IFRS standards is going to impact the market? The thing is that we all know that that $3.3 trillion of balance sheet liability exists in the market. For example, AT&T, Walgreens, they have over $30 billion of balance sheet liability. You all know McDonald's, right? They have $30 billion of balance sheet liability. Now come to those are global perspective, come to Asia Pacific region. A research conducted by ISD showed that only 43% of balance sheet liabilities are recorded properly. So there is still a large gap. So what are the key changes IFRS 16 is going to bring? The most impactful and obvious changes IFRS 16 is going to bring is all the off-balance sheet liabilities will be on the balance sheet. Though there is some limited exception, those are if it is short term, say for 12 months or less. If it is low amount, then you don't need to put it in balance sheet. Another thing is that the change of definition. Ladies and gentlemen, I have told you that emphasis the right to use. Now we have to give more emphasis on the right to control, not the right to use. If the leasee has the right to control the asset, for example, I took a lease of an asset. I can use the asset any way I want to use. That doesn't mean I have to use it in this way. I have the right to control. Then it will be termed as lease. A clear distinction established between lease and service agreement. Other changes are assessment of lease liability, assessment of lease term. Now, if the leasee has control of the lease, then he can reassess the lease term. He can reassess his lease liability during the lease period. Now, what will be the financial impact on the balance sheet? Because we know that all the off-balance sheet liability will become on the balance sheet. So obviously, the first change will be that financial asset will be increased, lease asset will be increased, liability will be increased. As a result, current issue will be decreased. So there will be a problem when the current issue is going to decrease. What is it? As per research conducted by Grant Thornton International, they have shown that 50% of the global companies use bank loan to finance their working capital. They have a debt covenant, but if they broke the debt covenants, what will happen? They have to repay the loan within a certain period. So after implementation of this standard, what may happen? The other thing is that asset turnover is going to reduce because asset is going to increase. And in case of income statement, operating profit is going to increase because there is implicit interest amount here. And also, finance cost is going to increase. The thing is that those are the financial impact. So I have given you what is the IAS 17, why this was changed, the disclosure policy changed, why IFRS 16 came, and what's the impact of IFRS 16. The thing is that, in a nutshell, I want to quote the chairman of IASB, Hans Hogerboss. He said that this standard, this new standard, is the lease accounting of 21st century. It will end substantial guesswork involved when calculating this obligation. And also, transparency in the financial statement regarding this asset and liability. So there will be no balance sheet liabilities lurking in the shadows. And finally, the comparability of the companies, between the companies who lease and don't lease, who buy by borrowing money, will increase. Thanks for listening. Thank you all for the conclusion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sami Maimun Akash. And we have only one contestant left, so there is no need to pick another name. Let's welcome on the stage Ms. Komal Surana.
Sorry, if I can just interrupt the process for like 2 minutes. My name is Adib Khan. I'm the president of ICAB, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Bangladesh. And I'm delighted to introduce to all of you the name which has just been mentioned, Mr. Hans Hogerboss, who is the chairman of the National Finance Council.
Yeah, well, it's great to be here and to be able to, fortunately not participate in the quiz itself, because I'm not sure if I would get many questions right. But I'm very happy to be here. I think a quiz like this is a very good idea to add a little bit of a playful element to accounting, which a lot of people mistake for being a dreary job. It isn't. It is very interesting. It is really trying to portray the real economics of a company. You are all students of accounting, the future of accounting of this country. I wish you a lot of success, and I look forward to listening to you and to your show of accounting strength in this quiz. Thank you.
Please, apologies for interruption.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm feeling some mutual actually. You don't want to answer, and I don't even understand the questions. Anyway, let's welcome our next contestant, our last contestant, Ms. Komal Surana. And our topic is going to be IFRS. She is representing the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And your time starts now.
Businesses are not restricted to geographical boundaries anymore. A world where investors and lenders seek investment opportunities wherever they get the best returns. There is a need to provide them with financial information which is relevant, reliable, and comparable across borders. This is exactly why international financial reporting standards were brought to existence. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Komal Surana from India, representing the ICAI, and I'm here to speak on IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. In the advent of its journey, IFRS began as an attempt to harmonize accounting across the European Union. The value of harmonization, which made the concept popular around the world, and in 1973, the IASC, International Accounting Standards Committee, was formed, which issued the IAS, International Accounting Standards. On 1st April 2001, the IASC was reconstituted to IASB, which issues the IFRS standards. IASB is the US body for setting standards, came to a conclusion to bridge the differences between IFRS and the US GAAP by signing the Norfolk Agreement. IFRS standards are globally recognized standards for preparation and presentation of financial statements. The definition of IFRS includes IFRS, IAS, IFRICs, that is the interpretations from International Financial Reporting Interpretations Committee, and the SICs, that is the interpretations from Standing Interpretations Committee. At present, there are 16 IFRS, 25 IAS, 13 IFRICs, and 5 SICs. One major implication worth noting is that in case of a conflict between the principles of IFRS and those of IAS, the former supersedes the latter. That is, the principles of IAS are dropped down. Before we proceed any further to IFRS, I believe it is very important for us to know that how can an entity actually adopt the IFRS system. IFRS 1, first time adoption of IFRS, states that any entity planning to adopt IFRS for the first time must explicitly mention the same in its financial statements. It must also reconcile the prior year comparatives under IFRS and reconcile the current profit to the profit that would have been obtained under the local GAAP. Any adjustments due to the prior use of local GAAP is to be adjusted directly in retained earnings or any other form of equity if appropriate. Since IFRS is a vast subject, it is not possible to discuss it in a limited time. Therefore, I would like to focus on some hot topics and recent amendments in this matter. We have IFRS 9 and 15, which are to be applicable from 1st January 2018. And then there is IFRS 16, which is to be applicable from 1st January 2019. However, early application of these standards is also permitted. Talking about IFRS 9, Financial Instruments. This standard provides us a revised guidance on classification and measurement of financial assets, financial liabilities, and some other contracts to buy or sell non-financial items. This standard provides us with a new expected credit loss model that would replace the incurred loss model as in IAS 39. This standard also provides us with an improved hedge accounting system and removes the restrictive reclassification requirements as required in IAS 39. According to a bank survey conducted, half of the banks surveyed believe that due to this new standard, there will be an increase in all classes of asset loans by 50%. Talking about IFRS 15, revenue from contracts with customers. This standard provides us with a 5-step revenue recognition model and also includes further explanations and some practical examples on how to implement the transitions. Although IFRS 15 is expected to impact all the sectors, but the most significant impact is going to be found on sectors like telecom, construction, real estate, and software engineering. For example, under IAS 18, many telecom operators who provided free handsets to customers treated them as marketing costs or costs to obtain customers. However, this is not allowed under IFRS 15. IFRS 15 requires allocating transaction price to individual performance contracts, and under such circumstances, the telecom operator would have to charge the total revenue as revenue from sale of handsets and revenue from sale of mobile phones. And now, the most talked about standard, IFRS 16, leases. For all of us, the definition of lease has always been divided into two, operating and finance. But IFRS 16 eliminates the criteria of a lease to be classified as operating or finance for a lessee. However, the accounting treatment for lessor remains the same. IFRS 16 supersedes IAS 17. As per a report, due to this new standard, an approximate of $2.8 trillion of lease agreements, which are currently off balance sheet, will be included in the balance sheet of world listed companies as assets and liabilities. Well, 2016 was the first year for IFRS 14. IFRS 14 IASB vehemently limits the scope of IFRS 14 to entities conducting regulated activities. This is just an optional standard and is available only to first-time adopters of IFRS. That is, it is applied exclusively in relation with IFRS 1. However, this is just an interim standard till the time IESC completes its comprehensive projects on rate-regulated activities. Some amendments were also introduced in IFRS. Few of them, which are already applicable as of now, that is 1st January 2017, are disclosure initiative as an amendment to IES 7, which now requires disclosures of net debts arising on financial activities, recognition of deferred tax assets for unrealized losses as an amendment to IAS 12, and IFRS for SMEs were also amended. Amendments